Hello, welcome to lecture 2 on design of multi-story structure using GTAPS. Today we are going to learn how to apply dead load, live load, wind loads and earthquake loads in GTAPS. So first we'll learn how to make autosave. So go to options and you have this autosave model. Click on autosave model and give intervals of time of your prescribed limits. We'll choose 5 minutes, so it will remind me at each 5-minute intervals, so that it's a time to save the our work. So let's click OK. So after 5 minutes, each 5 minutes it will give a reminder, so that our data will not get lost. Okay, now we'll start with assigning the loads. So before we give load patterns, uh, one more thing we need to do is we have to assign diaphragms. So what is this diaphragm means? Diaphragm is nothing but you have to make this entire slab will be concentrated at one single point, that is at the center. So that in the way of rigid. So we are making the slab is rigid, or you may also analyze it with semi-rigid. But normally we do analysis considering this slab is or our structure is a rigid one. So make a diaphragm with rigid, click OK. So remember this diaphragm name is D1, click OK. Now we need to assign the diaphragm. The diaphragm needs to be assigned to slabs. So let's select the floors, select floors, select, then close. You can see that 4 shells, which means we have 4 floors here, so which is described as 4 shells. 4 shells have been selected here. So now go to assign, and in that go to shell. Here you can see that diaphragms. So you first we have defined it. Now we are by selecting the slab, now we are assigning the diaphragms. Assign to diaphragm, select D1, click apply, and then click OK. So you can see that we have made the slab is rigid, and we have it's concentrated at the center of this section. After this we'll define load patterns. We'll go to load patterns. We have dead load. By default it will be we have to take self multiplying factor as 1, and the live loads will be acting on the floors we need to apply. And we'll add floor finish here. We'll add floor finish, which comes under, you can take it as a live load, and let it be the self multiplier should be 0, or you may choose it as other type. So select floor finish, click add new, and we also have waterproofing. For waterproofing we have some amount of load, so that is acting on top floor, that is on the roof. And after that we have wind load. The wind load needs to be applied. The type of load here is wind, and select the appropriate code according to your requirements. So we are going to use Indian IS 875 2015, which is the new one. If you want to design using the old code, that is also available, IS 875 1987. Because we have a new one, we'll select IS 875 2015, click add new. So now we have added wind load, and give earthquake load 1 in x direction, select seismic. The code is IS 1893 2016. Similarly, for earthquake, we have old version of code for Indian standard, which is 2002. You may use it if you require, but we're going to use the new one, IS 1893 2016. Add new. And similarly, make this in y direction. So one is in x and another one is in y. Add new. So we have now defined the load patterns: a dead load, live load, floor finish, waterproofing, wind load, earthquake loads. Now by default it will take all the dead loads which will be assigned, and it will be calculating the considering the density of the material which we have given, and software is going to consider the load. So we need to assign these live loads, floor finish, and waterproofing, wind load, earthquake loads. So by assigning them we can able to apply the loads individually on the ETAPS model here. So let us click OK. Now it's time for reminding us to save. So let us save. Okay, let's have a look at the loads acting on the structure. We have a live load acting on the floor, which is 4 kilonewton per meter square, which is you can take these values from IS 875 part 2, wherein which depending on the type of building and the type of occupancy, there are different UDL loads have been prescribed by the code. So you're taking that into consideration, I can apply the loads on each slab. For example, if you have a kitchen, on kitchen you can apply 2 kilonewton per meter square. For balconies you have to apply 3 kilonewton per meter square. These are all the loads prescribed by the code IS 875 part 2 in table 1. But in our problem we are assigning it as 4 kilonewton per meter square on the floors, and the floor finish is 1 kilonewton per meter square. So these are the two loads which are acting in the floor: story 3, story 2, and story 1. The live load on terrace is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square, which is less compared with the live load acting on the floor, because it is we know that the live loads on the floor will be normally more than the loads acting on the terrace. The loads which are coming in the terrace maybe water tanks or some solar panels if you have installed, and waterproofing which will be provided on the roof. So that is additional load we have, which is 2 kilonewton per meter square, and the terrace finish which is equal to 1 kilonewton per meter square. So we'll first apply this terrace load in our ETAP model, and then we will concentrate on applying these live loads and floor finish for the remaining floors. So remember, this live load on terrace is 1.5, waterproofing is 2, and terrace finish is 1. In our load pattern you may also define one more, because just like floor finish you can also define one more parameter, that is terrace finish, so that we can apply the load. Select other and then click OK. Okay. Now let us assign the loads acting on each story wise. So let us select story 4, and note that the units of all the loads is kilonewton per meter square. So hence uh, so we need to apply the loads on slabs. So on the slab it will be on the terrace, which is 13.8. So and also see that it is one story, because on the roof whatever the load we are applying is not going to be same that what we are going to apply in the other remaining stories. So hence, so we select one story, select only the slabs, go to select object type which is floor, so click select close. So which is just selected all the floors. Okay, go to deselect stories and deselect all the floors, uh, by by checking all this and just click CD select, so that we'll get only one shell remaining here instead of four. Now for this we need to assign the shell loads, that is uniform loads. We have a live load acting on the terrace, which is 1.5 kilonewton per meter square. So let us apply that 1.5 kilonewton per meter square, and you may apply, by default it will be in gravity, but you can apply in all the direction, which is you have this global x y z axis, and the local x y z is nothing but for each joint you will be having coordinates, so that axis is called as local axis. But normally we apply the live loads and dead loads towards gravity, that is acting downwards. So just select gravity and then click apply, and then click apply and OK. So now you can see that the number 1.5 has been displayed. That means on this roof we have applied 1.5 kilonewton per meter square of live load. Similarly, instead of wasting time, you have a quick option here, get previous selection, which means once you click this, whatever the portion or whatever the slab which you have selected previously, the same slab will be selected, so it will actually save our time. So now we are going to apply waterproofing. The waterproofing on terrace is 2 kilonewton per meter square. So select waterproofing here, make it 2, then apply. Okay, so you can see that the waterproofing load is displayed. Then similarly repeat, select previous selection, then apply the terrace finish. The terrace finish which is 1 kilonewton per meter square. So select terrace finish, type the load is 1 kilonewton per meter square, click apply, and then click OK. So now what we have done is we have applied the loads on the live load, the floor finish, that is terrace finish load, and the waterproofing load on the top roof. Now we need to apply the loads on the remaining stories. So that is in the same way we can repeat the work. We need to, we are now in the story 4, so just go to plan and in that select story 3 and then click OK. So now you are in story 3, or you can use this option, that is shortcut option, where you can move upward and downward. So now we are in story 3. Okay, I think you remember that we made similar story in the grid patterns while preparing these grid lines. So let me give you that what we have done there. So if you see that we have taken this story 3 is master story, and the same thing will be appear. That means if we apply any force or any load on story 3, so the same thing will be repeated. So that is the option which we have in these tabs. So how to use this option is very easy. So you select here, instead of one story you select similar stories here, select the similar stories. Then what the tabs will do is, if you do selection of these slabs, so that if you apply any load on this story 3, the same load will be applied to story 2 and story 1. So same thing will be applied. So now we need to select this slab. So select the object type, which is floors, select it. You can see that 4 shells are selected, which means it has selected the roof also. We don't want to apply the force on the roof, so deselect it. Go to deselect, go to stories. We don't want to select the story 4, so just deselect it. Now instead of 4 shells, now it is 3 shells. So close this. Now we have selected the slabs which are story 3, story 2 and story 1. Now we need to assign the loads acting on the floors. So you can see that live load acting on the floor is 4 kN per meter square and the floor finish is 1 kN per meter square. So let us assign this. Go to assign, because we are assigning this on shells. So select shell loads, uniform, select live load. The live load acting on this floor is 4 kN per meter square. Click apply. Now similarly, we need to apply the floor finish. So for that, select this quick option, get previous selection, so that our previously selected three shells will be again selected. Click on floor finish, and the floor finish is 1 kN per meter square. Click apply. Then so we have applied the loads. As you can see that we have applied the loads here, which is showing 1 kN per meter square floor finish load. So we can actually see the applied force on the slab, on the top of the slab. So now we have applied the live loads on floors and the terrace. We need to apply the loads which are coming from the walls. In the question you can see that we have outer wall which is having a thickness of 230 mm and a inner wall which is having a thickness of 115 mm, and the density of the brick means the wall which is built using brick having a density 19 kN per meter cube. We need to apply those wall loads, which is, you can see that there may be a wall here, so I will show you in elevation. There will be walls here, so this one wall load will be acting on this beam, so this beam will be subjected to certain load which is coming from the wall. Either you can apply that wall load as a load acting on the beam in form of UDL, or if you want you can make a model of brick masonry wall here. For that you need to first define what is the material property for that brick, then give the density and all, then assign the walls. So you can do that, or otherwise what we can do is the easiest way is calculate what is the load acting on the beam in terms of kilonewton per meter. We know the density of this brick is 19 kN per meter cube. Outer wall thickness is 0.23 multiplied by height. Height is 3.2, which is we have this height acting on this particular beam. If you have a wall here, then the height of this wall will be 3.2 meters. So that we need to consider. So therefore, live load due to outer wall, only in the outer wall the wall thickness is 0.23. There we will get outer wall live load is 13.98. And the point to be noted here is the walls, outer walls, the live load which is acting, which will, you have to apply it in the story 3, story 2 and story 1, not in the terrace, because above the terrace you will not have a wall. Normally we will have a parapet wall. So hence, so I calculated here the live load due to parapet wall, assuming that having density same and thickness or the width of the parapet wall is taking 0.115, and let us take the height of the parapet wall is 1 meter. Then the total load acting on the terrace at the outer edge, the parapet walls are given at the periphery of the beams, which is having 2.19 kilonewton per meter. So now we will first assign the UDL load which is acting on the periphery of the beam outside of this roof due to parapet wall. So for that, go to plan, story 4, and select the beams which are at the edges. So hold shift key and click on the beams. So as we click, you can see that the beams are selected. So only select the beams which are outside. We have selected 14 beams here, 14 frames have been selected. If you want to use this repeatedly for applying loads, so we can make a group. So now we have selected So here you click on groups, click on add new. We can make it as a group. So if you double click on this, so now you can mention this is outer beam which is acting on terrace or on the roof. So you name according to, or you can say outer beam at story 4. Okay, so click OK. So once you have made a group, so now this is outside beam on story 4. Right click and click add to group, which means whatever the selected frames will be added to in this within this group. So I will click add group. So now you see that the objects were 14 objects have been grouped here. So what is the use of making this group? It is so that you can go to selection, go to groups. We have the groups which we have made just now outside beam of at story level 4. Select this. So if you have saved it in groups, you can see that all the 14 frames are selected. No need to select them uh, because once you do that grouping, you can easily pick up the uh, beams. Now we will assign the parapet load, the parapet wall which is contributing a load of 2.19 kilonewton per meter on the periphery of this beam. So let us assign, go to assign frame load because we are applying this on the beams. Okay, so frame loads, apply distributed load, it's an UDL load, and we may consider this as a live load which is coming from a masonry wall. So or you may consider it as a wall load. You can create one more and you can define and you can assign. And if you have trapezoidal load, you can mention the distance and then mention the intensity of the force. So by default it will be apply the trapezoidal load, but for our work now we need to apply UDL load, UDL of which is 2.19 kilonewton per meter. So that we will be applying here. So click apply and click OK. So now you can see that in the 3D view, along the periphery of the beam, the UDL load of 2.19 kilonewton per meter has been applied. So now this is applied on the story 4. Now we need to apply similarly the loads on the outer beams of these floors as well as the inside beams. So we'll go to plan, we'll go to story 3, click OK. I have similarly, as I have explained how to make groups, similarly what I have done is I have made the groups for outside beams from story 3 to story 1. I have selected the beams and I have made them as in a group: outside beam story number 3 to story 1 and inside beam which is story number 3 to story number 1, because we have wall thickness varying from outer wall is 230 mm and inner wall is 115 mm. So their respective live loads and live loads from outer wall and inner wall has been already I have calculated here. So just you need to do the multiplication. So one is live load acting on the outer beam is 13.98 and the live load acting on the inner beam is 6.99. I have made a group in such a way that uh, if you if you go to third floor plan, what if you select this group, select, go to groups, outside beam from story number 3 to story number 1. If I select, you can see that the periphery beams at story level 3, 2 and 1 has been selected. So there are there are 42 frames which are being selected. Now on this we need to assign the wall loads. So that is a live load of which is 13.98 on the periphery of the beam, which is 13.98. So click apply, so that Now click OK. Now you can see that on the periphery beams at different levels of the story 1, 2, 3, the UDL load which is acting coming from the walls has been assigned. Now we need to assign the UDL loads inside this beam. So if you have a wall, so that wall will be contributing, the inner wall will be contributing of 6.99 kilonewton per meter of load. So I have made a group for that also. So I selected all the inner beams and put it in a group. So go to select groups, inside beams, select, close. Now you can see that 65 frames have been selected. Sorry, I think because it has selected story 4 also, let us deselect it. So deselect the story 4. Okay, correct. Now it is 51 frames. There are totally 9 plus 8, which is 17 intermediate beams here, 17, and we have 3 floors which comes around, that is exactly 51 frames. So we have 51 frames which are selected. Now for this, go to assign, then it is frame load, distributed load, and the load which is acting due to inner wall is 6.99. You can type it here, click apply, and if you apply, click OK, so that you can see that inside this inner walls you can see that the UDL loads of 6.99 has been assigned. So now this is how you can assign the uh, dead load and live load on the slab and the beams. Now we will define one important source, because as we have defined assigned the dead load and live load on floors and beams. So let us go to define and click on mass source. So this option is the one which normally we use for considered for calculation of earthquake loads. So that because the mass will be considered for calculation of base shear. So define this mass source, click on this specified load patterns, take dead load as 1, click add, and the live load needs to be transferred as per the code is 25%, that is 25% of the live load will be distributed from the floor to the, or from the beams to the column. So that we are taking it as multiplying factor as 0.25. And also you take floor finish load, which is, you can consider it as 1. So similarly you can take waterproofing and also terrace uh, finishing, which are acting on the terrace. So all this are nothing but the load patterns which will be considered for evaluating the mass. So please check this lateral mass and the lump lateral mass at story levels for calculation, then click OK. So click yes, click OK. Now we have defined mass. Okay, now let us assign the define the wind loads and the earthquake loads. We have already defined it, but we have to do some modification here. So let us see the modification which we have to do here. So in wind load, we have you'll ask for wind speed, which you will get based on the uh, we have this provision in IS 875 part 3, where wind speed varies from place to place. So according to the region where the building is located, so accordingly we need to select the uh, wind speed. So because ours is at zone 5, yeah, this wind zone is zone 5. So what we are going to do is we are going to select maximum wind speed is 55. So we can select 50 based on the location. For example, if your structure is in Mumbai, then the Mumbai is, you can see that this is in a sky blue color. So in Mumbai you will have wind speed is 44 meter per second. So if you are in constructing a building in Mysore, so in Mysore it is, you can see purple color, it is 33 meter per second. So based on the place we can select what is the wind speed. So we will consider uh, it as 50, or we can, depending on the place you can select the wind speed. So we are going to keep it as 50 meter per second. Terrain category, in as per IS 875, it has defined the terrain categories as, see, category 1, category 2, category 3 and category 4. There are 4 categories are there. So what do you mean by that? In category 1, which normally uh, tells us that if your building is open and it is exposed, and you don't have any buildings which are not more than height of 1.5 meter, normally in a coastal area. So if you are having buildings near coastal area, then that will be category 1. And open terrain with, if you have structures surrounded by a height of 1.5 to 10 meter. So if your structure is surrounded by a number of few number of structures with a height of 1.5 to 10 meter, then that comes under category 2. Similarly, if we have the structures, our structure is surrounded by a number of structures which is having height more than 10 meter, then that comes under category 3. And category 4 is a structure where we'll have a highly closed or we have high rise buildings surrounded by our buildings, so we'll select category 4. For example, if you have Bombay, so there we have high rise buildings, number of high rise buildings will be more, so there you can select category 4. So depending on the type and depending on the region, we can select the categories. So for our work, what we will do, we'll select it as category 2, so that our building is surrounded by building which are within the height 1.5 and 10 meters, so that you can select 2. So accordingly you can choose which category, terrain category you need. And importance factor, and the importance factor is as per the given specification is 1. And risk coefficient K1 and K3, these K1 and K3 are the values which are obtained by the respective tables here, which is, we have choosing this wind speed which is 50 meter per second, and for all the general buildings the K1 value will be, the K1 value risk coefficient factor will be 1. So if you have some temporary structures, temporary sheds or structures you are building, so there you have to choose 0.7. So accordingly, based on different parameters, we need to take the values for K1 depending on the wind speed. So for us, we have 50 meter per second. We'll take all general buildings because we are doing multi-story structural analysis. So we'll take one as our risk coefficient factor. So that has been given here. And the topography factor K3, the topography for K3 which is given here, which is for any structure which is more than about 3 degree and below that, the value of K3 may be taken as or equal to 1. If the value of K3 confined with range 1 to 1.36 for slope more than 3 degree, which means if you have a structure which is building in a slope ground, so there your topography you need to check, prefer between 1 to 1.36. So we are going to assume that we are constructing it in within this 3 degree limit, so we have considered the K3 value is also as 1. So here this risk coefficient and topography value as 1. And exposure condition, this is basically the height. You need to consider the entire height of the building, so by default it will be selected. If you want to include parapet wall height, so you can include, if you are having a parapet wall, then you can include it that height, otherwise you can neglect it. And we have two options here. One is exposure for extent of diaphragms. If you have defined the diaphragms, based on the diaphragms the ITAPS is going to automatically assign the wind loads, then it is going to evaluate. If you have if you want to use this shell object option, then you have to actually draw the walls. You have to draw the walls, or you have to make this field. Then on the surface of the shell object, then we can apply the load on the walls. So the best option is you select this diaphragm option, and by default ETABS will calculate whatever the ordinates at what diaphragm and width we need to apply the loads in both set. There will be two sets, that is, one is windward, that is in the x direction, and also in the y direction. So it will be applying the force in both the direction. So that you prefer the exposure from extents of diaphragms. Windward coefficient and leeward coefficients are actually considered based on the shape of the building. So because we have a structure which is rectangular, so we have a coefficient which is zero 0.8 and 0.5. IS 875 also gives for different section, for different parameters, what are the coefficient factor you need to select. So we are selecting 0.8 and 0.5 as coefficient, but you can select it based, depending on the ratio here, between the ratio between B and L. By calculating that, we can choose what is the appropriate coefficient for windward and leeward coefficient. So we're going to take same default 0.8 and 0.5, click OK. So now by doing all this, we are already done with applying this wind load. Now we'll go to earthquake force, click on modify lateral load. Note that we are actually making changes in earthquake load for x direction. So if you are doing for x direction, please uncheck all the direction of application, only check the x direction force. And seismic zone factor is as per given here, the seismic zone is 5, the seismic zone factor is 0.36. You can go to IS 1893. In IS 1893 we have this table where seismic zone factor can be considered based on the seismic zones here. So that is, if you have a zone of 5, then the seismic zone factor is 0.36. That is what we have to use. So we are having zone 5 seismic zone, and the zone factor we are considering is 0.36. So if you have zone 4, 0.24, zone 3, 0.16. If you have zone 1 and zone 2, any one of these, then it will be a zone factor of 0.1. So because we have zone 5, we'll select 0.36. Site type is, we have given here the soil type is, which is type 2, which is medium. So we'll select that as 2. Depending on the soil type, we can select this. There are 3 options are there. So for more information, please read this IS 1893, where it will be you will be able to get the more knowledge on this soil type. And the importance factor is given here is 1. We can take this from the code, that is as prescribed by the code, that is I is, you can see that 1.5 for critical and lifeline structures, maybe for a bridge and for a dam, and 1.2 for business continuity structure, some IT structure, IT buildings, you can take 1.2, and the rest you have to consider 1 for the rest. So that's why we are considering the impact factor as 1. And you select story 4 and base. Response reduction factor, either you need to select 3 or you need to select 5 based on IS 1893. Here in table 9 IS 1893 specifies response reduction factor R value for a moment frame section RC building with ordinary moment resistance, it is 3. If you have a RC building with special moment resisting frames, if you are doing, then that is 5. And if you are considering steel, ordinary it is 3 and special is 5. So we are going to select this as an RC building with special moment resisting frame, SMRF, which is of response reduction factor 5. So that value has been considered here, and click OK. Now we have done this for X direction. Similarly, we need to do for Y direction. We have one more option for time period. You can do there are three options are available. Approximate method, which is based on the code's provision. We have the time period which will be calculated using this approximate rule. Or you can use this program calculated option, where ETABS will calculate based on IS 1893 provisions. It will be calculated. Or if you have defined some calculated by using the formulas available in the code book, so that uh, time period you can actually give it here. So for now we will give program calculated one. If you calculate the time period for this particular structure, it will come around 0.28 to 0.32 seconds. So that value you can give here 0.32 second as your user defined time period. So we'll select a program calculated and click OK, and the same way you need to do for y direction. So click OK, go to y direction, modify load, uncheck all, select only y direction, make sure all the properties are correct. So we have selected the correct factors, then click OK. So now we have defined wind loads, earthquake load in x direction and earthquake load in y direction. We have to define one more function, which is we have to define which method, by using which method the earthquake analysis needs to be done. As per IS code, IS code specifies that you can do this analysis using equivalent static method, or you can use it using dynamic analysis method. In the dynamic analysis, there are two methods: response spectrum, model time history method, and time history method, which are specified by the code. So if you want to do dynamic analysis in the structure, then you have to define this function, response spectrum and time history method. In this, you can select the, as per the Indian standard code, select IS 1893, then give the uh, damping ratio, which is 5%. We have to take a function of 5%. By default it has been taken. And you can give the period, calculate the time period, or you can leave it for the software to do its work. So either way you can work. So, or if you don't want to make any analysis using the dynamic analysis, then no need to assign. Otherwise, by default, as we have defined this load pattern, this will be using equivalent static force method. That is, it will be using the equivalent static method. So so we'll prefer the equivalent static method here. Click OK. And now we can see that the load cases, we have different type of loads, and also we have to make load combinations. uh, you can make your own load combinations, just like in code which has been defined. You can make your own load combination either by manually you can give it, or you can give a default option which is available. So how to give it? If you want to give it in manually, there are number of load cases have been defined. So you have to give 1.2 times of dead load plus 1.2 times of imposed load, which means live load, then 1.2 times of earthquake load in x direction, then zero point 0.3 times of earthquake load in y direction. So like that, there are number of combinations are there. If you do it manually, it takes more time. So what I suggest is, we let's take this default design combo, which automatically the ETABS will take the combination of forces by itself based on the codal provisions. So because we are doing concrete frame design, so select the appropriate type of design what you are doing. So we're doing concrete frame design. Click OK. So now we can see that on the left box, so it has given 20 number of combination for the applied loads. So if you click on check double click on any one, you can see that this one combination D con 6 is having 1.5 times of dead load and minus 1.5 times of wind load. So like that, if you check on any other options, it has taken by default the load combination has been assigned. So this is the best way. So you do this load combination. Now we have applied dead load, live load, wind load and earthquake load. So now we will do analysis for checking the model. So we'll just first check the model, and if you want to do uh, any specific checks on joints, frames, shells, you can take them, or you can select all and then click OK. Then the software will uh, run for doing check, and then it will give a result for the after completing this check. The model check one warning message has been given. The mass source has both element self and load pattern with multiplying 0. This may result in duplication of. Okay, no problem. This is giving some error on mass source. That is because we have applied a floor finish separately and terrace finish separately. So that's why it's giving that error. So now we have checked the model. If you want to set a degree of freedom, that is we need to do, normally we will be doing full 3D analysis. If you are doing only 2D analysis for a particular frame, then you can do that analysis also. But when you are doing multi-story design, so we need to prefer always full 3D analysis. You can also do the analysis based on the uh, load pattern. You can actually make any one of these wind load or earthquake load. You can stop running it. That means the software will not consider the respective force. Then it will only consider only live load and dead load, and it will do the analysis. You can run the analysis. Or if you don't want to do, if you want to consider the all the type of force, then don't bother about this. Go to uh, analysis, and you have, if you want to prefer non-linear analysis hinges, if you want to provide meshes, so you can provide a mesh, approximate mesh size for 1.25 or 1 meter, which will by default it will click on the run analysis. It will take some time, and it will give the result. Okay, the software has completed the analysis. Now we will stop our lecture 2, which has we have applied dead load, live load, wind load and earthquake load to the multi-story building. So now we will stop here, and next lecture we will be concentrating on the result obtained by this analysis, and how to see the bending moment diagram and shear force diagram for each frames, and how to use them in uh, manually designing the structure. Thank you.